Thank you, Zavier. Oh, good morning. What a wonderful morning. Thank you, Zavier. So excited. We're so excited to have Zavier here today. Welcome to Unity of Tacoma. I'm so happy to see everyone on this wonderful Sunday, Labor Day weekend. We are here today to celebrate and to recognize those people who have created the wonderful world that we sit in today. And I'm excited to go through that a little bit of history, a little bit of spirituality. That's why you're here. And just some exciting things today. My name is Reverend Lori Irwin Johnson, and I use the pronouns she and her. And if this is your first time here, I'd like to welcome you. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back and joining us again this weekend. It's going to be a wonderful day. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to what Zavier Cordell, who is our musician today, what he has to share with us today. Real excited. He also, in addition to being a musician today, he works behind the scenes on Sunday, but today he is in front of the camera, and so I'm excited to have him. So thanks for being here today. First, I'd like to start off, though, with the prayer for protection. So you know the prayer for protection. Please say it with me. For those of you on the screen or online, it'll be on the screen for you, and you'll be able to read the words with me. Let us pray. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And as we sit in this space of prayer, just breathe. Open your hearts, open your mind, open your consciousness to what needs to be shared today, to the wisdom, to the divine knowledge, to the history of what happens here in this area and how the people, the workers around us, have created the world that we live in. On this Labor Day weekend, we bless all of those people who are working and those people who are not. Those people who are seeking jobs or living from paycheck to paycheck, knowing how difficult it is, knowing that we hold them in the light of love and light of peace and the light of awareness that all is well. We're so grateful for each other for this opportunity today, knowing that we will touch on the things that we need to touch on. We will hear the things we need to hear, and we'll accept them, assimilate them, and know it is so. And so it is. Amen. All right. Zavier's going to come back with another song or musical piece, and then we're going to come back for our message. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. Our affirmation for today: I bless my work, and in return, my work blesses me. I bless my work, and in return, my work blesses me. Say it after me. I bless my work, and in return, my work blesses me. And our reading for today is from James DeLette Freeman, who wrote the prayer for protection that we said earlier. And it's from his book, The Household of Faith. And it talks about Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And I thought it would be really interesting and important to recognize that their work, why we're here at Unity today. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore worked together to build unity. It was Myrtle Fillmore who first accepted the idea of divine healing. It was Charles Fillmore who edited the first magazine. It was Myrtle Fillmore who first led Silent Unity. It was Charles Fillmore who named the work Unity and developed it into the worldwide organization it is today. It was Myrtle Fillmore who led the people in meditation and in prayer. It was Charles Fillmore who made speeches and wrote books. They worked together as heart and head worked together, and from their united efforts grew the greatest movement that is unity. If Mrs. Fillmore supplied the original impetus, it was her husband who supplied the greater part of the energy that carried it forward. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore had a simplicity about them that endeared them to all who knew them. They soared, but they lived simply. They founded a faith that reached around the world, yet their humility was as great as their accomplishments. It was unity, not Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, whose successes they worked forward. There was no pretense about these two. They never took up a title for themselves, and they were such unassuming people that no one felt like calling them by a title either. Among their workers and close friends, there was almost a family feeling, and many of these called them Papa Charlie and Mama Myrtle. They were the kind of people who, when they went to the vegetarian cafeteria that Unity built in the corner of 9th and Tracy in Kansas City, stood in line, took their turn, and paid for their meals just as everyone else did. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore believed that the most important thing in their lives was their ideas and their works. The good that they did for others, they were teachers. As the Fillmores said over and over, they were not trying to set up a church, they were establishing a school. When the Unity Society of Practical Christianity was incorporated in 1903, it was incorporated as a scientific and educational institution and not as a church. I bet many people don't think that, because all the Unity churches around the country are very large and they have church feeling. But some of them continue to be centers for learning, and I think that that's us at Unity here at Tacoma are exactly taking and moving that forward and that vision to that next level, and I'm very proud to be part of the movement. Our spiritual lesson for today is from Charles Fillmore. It says, "Beware of the circumscribed idea of God. Always provide for an increase in your concept. Don't write down any laws governing our conduct or your religious ideas. Be free to grow and expand. What you think today may not be the measure for your thought tomorrow." Don't write anything down. Don't get stuck in your thought process, because evolution happens when you move out of that space. What a wonderful message for today, being Labor Day weekend. We are going to be talking about today about the history of this area, a little bit of history about Unity of Tacoma, and mostly we're going to talk about how that makes us a banner, or it gives us an idea of where we can move towards in the future. And so I'm really excited to be able to talk about today. But do you know where you are sitting right now? We know that we're sitting on South Tacoma Way and we're sitting on Surge. But do you know how this place came to be? Not many of us did. I grew up right down the street, but not many of us know how this area was established. And during the pandemic, when there wasn't anything to do and we were in lockdown, there is a wonderful tour group called Pretty Gritty Tours, and they give you the history and the of all the different areas around Tacoma, and they did virtual tours, and they did one of South Tacoma, and it was really cool, and they were able to show pictures and talk about the history of what happened here. And so I have a little bit of information about that today I want to share. And then also I'll put in for those of you online, I'll put in the description, I'll put a link to Pretty Gritty Tours, and you can go watch that for yourself so you know what happened here in South Tacoma. But I'll give you a tiny, tiny bit of what it was that he talked about, and then a little bit more that I found on my own. So this area of Tacoma, South Tacoma, was originally called Elk Trap. And it was very, very flat. There was a lot of different areas in here where there was just open plains, and then there were trees around the edges. But this area was pretty flat. And it was called Elk Trap by the indigenous peoples of the area. So the first inhabitants of this area were the ancestors of the present-day Puyallup, Nisqually, Steilacoom, Squaxin, and Muckleshoot tribes. I hope I didn't mess that name up, but you can tell me later if I did. When the Northern Pacific Railroad came here, it was first called Excelsior. That's this. Can you imagine? I'm going to Excelsior today. What a difficult thing to say. That's what it was called at first. And then it was later called Edison. So this area was not South Tacoma to begin with. And what changed the name to South Tacoma, which seems very simple, but there was a gentleman, a timekeeper, that worked on the railroad at the station, which was just down the road here. His name was Charles Atkins, and he finally just painted the sign that said South Tacoma, and it stuck. So what everyone was arguing about and back and forth between Excelsior and Edison now became South Tacoma, and that's how South Tacoma got its name. Now, this area in South Tacoma was built in response to the individuals who came here to work and their families on the railroad. So the railroad was a big prevalent presence here in this area, and there's still tracks over there that you can see that they do get used, but not as much as they used to. There were, during that time, 2,000 Chinese workers that came to build the railroad in this area. And they built the railroad from southwest corner of Washington up into to what is Tacoma today. And so they needed to open up that space. And there were Chinese workers that came, and they started working in 1870. By November of 1885, though, the 200 Chinese laborers and their families who remained here in Tacoma were marched out of town in a mass exodus. They were, in essence, they were expelled from Tacoma, and they were told never to return. They burned their homes, they burned their shops and their businesses, and they were not allowed to come back, and they didn't come back until the early 1900s. But this is why there is the Chinese Reconciliation Project and the park that's downtown to recognize this terrible time in history. But we are part of that history, and those Chinese workers were part of who we are today, sitting here on South Tacoma, so we need to recognize them too. As the railroad began to falter and the cars became more prevalent in this area, and you know how South Tacoma Way is now with all of the different, and when I was young, that was a long time ago, when I was young, there were lots of car lots, and there still are lots of car lots on South Tacoma Way, but it was the place to go to buy a car. You know, you go to South Tacoma Way to buy a car, and South Tacoma Way was Highway 99. So it went from here to Oregon all the way to California on Highway 99. So you go right through this area. There was no freeway at that point, so you went right through this area to go to, if you wanted to head south to Oregon or California. And at one time, there were streetcars out here, and until the 1930s, there were streetcars, and so you could get up and down the street on the streetcars. But of course, we don't have those anymore. But you can see kind of in the street where there could have been streetcars, the way they had them set up. You can see some of the buildings are still set up to have the streetcar lines coming across. So I wanted to talk a little bit, though, about the buildings themselves, not just South Tacoma Way and its influence in the area, but the building itself. So right down the street, everyone knows the Edison, right? The Edison down there. Interesting. That's why I found out why it's called the Edison, because it used to be called Edison in this area. But the Edison right down the way used to be a movie theater. And it was really, really innovative for its time because it allowed women to be able to bring their babies with them, their children. And they had pram parking, parking for their little buggies that they brought their babies in. And they also had an area in the back where they could, a little quiet space with a window that they could go and still watch the movie while their infants and children made noise, so they could still enjoy the movie. So how innovative. We don't have that today. Why don't we have that? Why didn't we keep that? So it was called the Real Art Movie Theater, and it was built by Randor Pratsich in 1919, and it was operated until 1961. So right down the way, that's what that space was. If you've ever been in there, it's quite open right now. It's gone through many different incarnations. It was a dance hall for a while, and then it was a bunch of different businesses. But now it is an open space where they now have different venue. It's a venue for different things like weddings and things like that. And the Black Night Market, which was recently there for twice a year. So lots of things going on in Tacoma that are different than what they are, but they're still using that space now. They kind of just decided they wanted to open it up again and bring back that feeling of it being a special venue space. So the Edison right down the way was the Real Art Movie Theater. Now, across the street, you can see, if you turn around, for those people who are in the building, you can turn around, you see that black building with all the windows. That, at one time, was a grocery store. And in 1938, it was a grocery store that was replaced by Safeway in 1942. So you see that building looks pretty small, and we know what Safeways look like today. I mean, they're pretty large. But in its time, it was one of the biggest grocery stores in the area, so people would line up to go to this Safeway. It later became a Thriftway and then went through different changes after that, but that's what that space was. Right across the street was a Safeway and then later a Thriftway. So it was a pretty big and cool place to go to buy your groceries. Then across the street where the church cantina is, that restaurant over there, just kitty corner from us. Does anybody remember what that was? Steve's Gay 90s. Yes, it was a restaurant and a cocktail lounge. And it had all kinds of different spaces where you could go in and different themes where you could go in and have your cocktails and you could have your dinner. And it was one of the really big hot spots here in Tacoma to go and have a good time. So Steve's Gay 90s right across the street, kitty corner from where we are. And do you know what we sit in right now? Right now in this search, what was in this building to begin with? There was a drugstore. There was a drugstore at the beginning, and it was South Tacoma. Let's see, what was it called? Tacoma Drug Company. That's what it was called. And it was started by Fred Ludwig. And he was in this space, and it was a big hotspot for, and if you've seen any pictures, and I implore you to go online if you're interested in history, to look it up, because they have wonderful pictures of what it used to look like. There were huge signs, talking about Coca-Cola, and, you see all of the things, if you were to think about New York and all of the big signs that they have now, it was kind of like that. They had signs everywhere to tell you what was what, and this one was drug, Tacoma, South Tacoma drug, and then there was Coca-Cola signs, and there was all kinds of different things, tobacco and things that they sold here. And it was just a big deal. So not only did you have a grocery store across the street, but you could get your drugs here. You could go down and watch a movie, or you could go over across the street to Steve Gay 90s and have a cocktail. So this was a really hot spot. So I'm really excited because I grew up in this area. I really didn't know that. I knew that you could buy a car on South Tacoma Way, but other than that, I really didn't know a lot. And there was an airport behind that my husband's dad was involved with, and then there's the airport tavern over here that was built just for that. So all of the people, can you imagine all of the people throughout history that have had worked in this area to create what it is that we have today? Just allows us to be able to be here in this moment. So I just want to sit in appreciation for that today, to appreciate every person whose work and labored to be here in this moment. So it allows us to be here in this moment to celebrate their accomplishments and to be able to move forward in our own accomplishments. So I grew up in Nally Valley, which is just down the street here. So if you take South Tacoma Way, you go around and you're at Center Street, and Nally Valley is where I grew up. My family worked at the Nally plant and pickling and canning. That was their thing. And when I got up in the morning, you could smell the pickles, and so that was a lot of fun. So I grew up here, and my family, prior military family, so they would come here because, there was Boeing here. My dad was a pipe fitter, and he was in the Navy, so he was a pipe fitter at Tacoma Boat down on the waterfront at the Port of Tacoma. And just a lot of things that there was so much history here that I feel a part of, and I also feel that Unity of Tacoma has been a part of. Unity of Tacoma has been here in this location, not in this location, but has been in Tacoma since 1948. And it was started by Warren Meyer. Reverend Warren Meyer started Unity of Tacoma because, of course, we had to have churches, we had to have spiritual centers to support the families that were here. So they started that Unity of Tacoma. And there is a big story, and if you want to know more, see Denise, because she probably has more details on how Reverend Warren Meyer found the space where he wanted to have Unity of Tacoma. But he ended up having Unity of Tacoma at 2102 South 23rd Street, and he opened. They broke ground in 1954, and they started worshiping in 1956. So they were in that location from 1956 until 2018, 17, 18. And so they were right down the way, not really not too far from here. And so right off of what was 19th Street and State, right? 19th and State. So they were there quite a long time, and they had lots of people coming in and out. They had lots of different ministers and speakers and musicians throughout the years, and people to come in and out to pray and to celebrate each other and to connect. And so Unity of Tacoma has been around a long time. So I'm proud to be part of this organization that's been part of the history of this area, and also the history of the workers that are here in the Tacoma area. And so it's so cool to have that opportunity. And so today we really sit here on Sunday mornings in the effects, what happened after all of the work was put in to create South Tacoma. We sit here because someone did the work. Lots of someones did a lot of work to create what we have today. And I appreciate each and every person that created what they created in this moment. And we here move forward with that mentality of creating and helping our communities. We just yesterday met here we made sack lunches for the unhoused in our area, and we had quite a turnout, and people came, and we made 100 sack lunches, and they went out, and it's such a wonderful thing to give back to a community. The people here work so hard, they struggle sometimes, and we know that what it's like to be able to struggle. All of us at some point has struggled. And so we know what it's like, and we're here to help, and we're moving forward with that mentality of let's give back to the community. Let's give, because we are come from spirit. We come from a space of love, and we know what it's like, and we uplift. We're here to share the principles that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore created so many years ago with their Unity School. They wanted to teach us spiritual principles, and they did. And they wanted us to use those principles and apply them in everyday life, not just on Sundays when we meet in our spiritual centers. We want to be able to use the principles of love and peace and joy and prayer and meditation and giving and supporting each other every single moment of every single day. It's not something we just do on Sunday and forget about it. It's something that we live, we embody each and every day. It's a philosophy, not so much a religion as it is a philosophy and a way of life. Anyone from any religion, no matter what your religion or religious background is, can be part of unity. You can be a Buddhist and be part of unity. You can be a Muslim and be part of unity if that is what you want. This is part of what Myrtle and Charles Fillmore were trying to create when they created unity so long ago. They didn't want to be ministers, they wanted to be part of the people. They wanted to be workers in their movement, and they were. And then everyone else followed them in their way, as we are here at Unity of Tacoma. Just down the street here, there is the Family Housing Network. They're just down the way. And we support them with baby diapers, and we support them during the holidays, and we really look forward to being able to give back, again, to the community. We just want to be part of something that is great, and we are. And we created this wonderful, along with Myrtle and Charles, have created this wonderful movement. And to be able to teach people that we are not people who are going to preach to you. We're not people who are going to try to change you, convert you, or proselytize to you. We are just going to show you that we have love and compassion and joy for who you are. And we accept you for who you are. And that's the beauty of what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore created so many years ago. They wanted to make change in the society with which they lived, and that movement has carried forward until today as we move forward into the future. So today, Labor Day weekend, and then tomorrow, Labor Day, celebrates all of the work that was put in to get us to where we are today. All the workers, all the innovators, all the professionals, all those who serve the needs of the people and themselves. The day remembers the people who created everything that we have, everything that we celebrate each and every day when we open our refrigerators and when we cook our food. We are celebrating each person that shares their moments, their work with us, so we can have a better life. And so as Unity members, that is our philosophy as well. We work for others so they can have a better life as well. We're giving back. We're paying it forward. Everyone from the indigenous people who were here first on the land that we use today, to the Chinese railroad workers that we owe an apology to over and over again, to the people like Charles Atkins, who named this space, to Randar Pratsich, who created the movie theater down the street, and Fred Ludwig, who owned this building right here and had his drugstore here. They envisioned what South Tacoma could be and what the people of South Tacoma could experience. And then there's Reverend Warren Meyer, who decided that unity needed to be in Tacoma. And here we are today, still today, so many years ago, moving forward in that movement that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore created over 100 years ago. We take up the mantle from all those people who have gone before us. We are taking this model of Charles and Myrtle and using it in the world. And we are in service to the people of South Tacoma Way through our support and our love and our ability to work for those people who are in need. And like the Fillmores, we are real people doing real work. We take those spiritual principles that they taught us and we pay them forward, and we allow the next generations to use it in a way that makes their lives better. Our work is a spiritual journey, and our journey is spiritual work. And I'm so proud to be a part of this life at Unity of Tacoma and the model that was created here for all of us to meet Spirit. And I'm proud to be here, and I'm so glad that you all decided to be here today and continue to come and watch and be part of Unity of Tacoma and the heritage that we have been a part of since the beginning of this city. So we're excited about that. In a few moments, we're going to take some time to meditate on where we are in our own purpose and how we create in the world. First, I'm going to have Zavier come back, and he's got something special for us. Thank you. Thank you. So today we're going to do a different meditation. I always try to do something different, so shake it up a little bit. And we're going to do a call and response. I know that many of you do call and response with songs. We've done that before, but because I'm not a singer, we're going to speak those call and responses today. So when I say my line, I would like you to say, let me pull it. I got to remember what I'm going to say. Spirit, you are calling. So when I say my phrase, I would like you to say, Spirit, you are calling. So let's start. I will start with my line, and then I'll say your line with you so you remember. Gentle and patient, Spirit, you are calling. Careful and persistent, Spirit, you are calling. In grieving and in praise, Spirit, you are calling. Through dawn and midday, Spirit, you are calling. Unexpected and planned, Spirit, you are calling. In a still small voice and in power, Spirit, you are calling. Spontaneous and prepared, Spirit, you are calling. Willing and protected, Spirit, you are calling. Spirit is eager to share with us wherever we are in our journey. May we be diligent in listening. Spirit, we are calling, and so it is. We come here today in recognition of the calling of Spirit, the communication and invitation for us to share in this creative healing work. In this moments of our lives, let us speak and act in the world around us, not only to call our people to a life of spirit, but also to direct and guide them in the way of healing and wholeness. We pray that we may rise up with renewed commitment and answer to the call so that we may be instruments of grace and love. Spirit, we accept your blessing for us. We accept the abundant faith, a fruitful life, and joy that you are giving us. We are blessed as we gather to continue to work, and so it is. Amen. And as we sit in this space of contemplation, allow yourself to feel supported on the surface that you're on, taking a breath, and just allow yourself to be supported. In this time of meditation, when we are listening to Spirit calling us, Spirit, you are calling. We, in this moment, consider all of the callings that we've heard in our lives previously, and all the roads that we have and have not taken. We know that the choices that we've made had brought us to the situations and experiences we have today, good or bad or indifferent. All of these were necessary to get us to where we are today. In this moment of stillness, we know that we have considered the paths before us, and we are open to the calling of Spirit, allowed us to move forward on the path that was correct and right for us. What was it that inspired you to go down that path? Take a moment to just contemplate why you made that decision. What was that deciding factor that that is the path that you decided to take? And also consider what you left behind, because that is also part of who you are today. And with gratitude, just remember, acknowledge. Who have been your mentors in your life? Who have taught you to go down the path that you're on? Who gave you the skills? Did you have people before you, family, friends, ancestors that allowed you to take this path, or did you have to leave things behind in order to do something, to break out on your own and do something on your own? These are all choices that you've made that brought you to where you are today. The work that you've done previously in your life is all because of this. What is that work that brought you to where you are today? What have you done? And with gratitude, look at it and say thank you. Whatever the circumstances were, whatever your experience was, it made you who you are today. And be grateful in this moment. Thanking the family, friends, ancestors, the mentors, the previous supervisors, the workers that were with you. Thank them as well. They taught you a lesson. Lessons that you needed to learn, or things that you didn't want to know, but you needed to learn anyway. Just allow all of that experience from your previous work, from your previous life, from your previous experiences to just swirl around in your memory. And know that no matter what, Spirit has always been with you, working with you, giving you the circumstances that may have been hard or easy, but the lessons are important. And today, you are a better person for each and every one. Take a breath. And exhale. Thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you for recognizing the previous work that you've put in to be where you are today. Thanking all of the people that helped you become who you are today. Taking another breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and you can bring your awareness back into this space. And Zavier is going to play us another song. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Give him another round of applause because I think that was just so awesome. Thank you so much. All right. We come to the portion of our service where we open our hearts to give. All donations that we receive here at Unity of Tacoma go to support the wonderful musicians that we have and all of the outreach programs that we do and just being able to reach out to the community. We're so grateful for everything that we receive here at Unity of Tacoma, and there are so many different ways you can give. You can give on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Unity of Tacoma and give there. You can go to our website at unityoftacoma.org/donate to give via PayPal on our website. You can donate through Zelle using our telephone number 253-576-3225, or you can mail a check to Unity of Tacoma, P.O. Box 112289, Tacoma, Washington 98411. And for those of you in the building, we have a prosperity box in the back. If you wanted to drop something in there, you certainly could today, and we greatly appreciate that. And as we prepare to give, please hold within your hand that prosperity that flows through you and as you. And as Jesus said in Luke 6:38, give and you'll receive. You'll be given, rushed, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will spill into your lap. The way you give to others is the way God will give back to you. And as you visualize holding that gift within your hand, please repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful for my blessings today, and I am grateful in every way. And so it is. Amen. May the blessings of your gift bring so many blessings back to you. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. at Unity of Tacoma. I'm going to go into the benediction before we go into announcements. And then are we going to sing song? We're going to sing our song. Okay. So first we're going to go into the benediction, and this comes from The Household of Faith by James DeLette Freeman. He says, if you would find the true message of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, turn it into your own heart and pray. Live for a time by the unity idea. Dare to believe that God is your health. Dare to believe that he or she is your support. Dare to believe that you have in you all the ideas that you will ever need for a happy and successful life. Dare to be generous, loving, and free. Then in your own liberated spirit, in your own liberated life, you will understand what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore came to teach. So I'm going to have Victoria come back over here for announcements. Do you want to just sit here? I can get up. Oh, you got the mic. Okay. Yeah, we're good. I'm messing up the plan here. There is a system.
Okay. Are we good now? Okay. Well, I've done a lot of reflecting, and I've been trying to figure out what I'm doing. And I decided that I am one of the most fortunate people on the planet because Lori has given me this little platform called Announcements. And she has allowed me to run with it. And she doesn't censor me at all, and she never has a clue what I'm going to say. So what an honor, and what a responsibility also. So I decided my little thing is called Reflections. So in honor of Reflections, I am dressed for the day. This is my Barbie outfit. And I know I'm a little behind, but back in July, I was taking a bunch of classes where my peers averaged in age about 24. And I was the delinquent student in class who was cutting up all the time and all that. Well, towards the end of the class, I wore this outfit. And everybody, it was like a resounding, oh, you wore a Barbie outfit today. Well, quite honestly, I was a little offended because I never cared for Barbie. I was never part of that whole thing. I couldn't see the point. It just left me cold. And then why all the hoopla about Barbie? And so I finally went and saw the movie this last week. Now I get it. So in honor of that, I'm wearing my Barbie outfit because what I came out, I know people come out with all kinds of results from that movie, but I came out of it with the fact that anybody can be whatever they want to be. And it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, purple or pink. It doesn't matter at all. You can be whoever you want to be if you have the courage to be it. I had no idea that there were so many different kinds of Barbies. And furthermore, that there were so many different kinds of Kens. Oh my goodness sakes. And I can't say that I got the whole movie. I've talked to people who have seen it twice or thrice, and they say they get more out of it each time because I think that's because there's just so much innuendo in there that you can't possibly get it all the first time. So enough about that. So Lori today is choosing history and our history. And it dawned on me that history is about change. And if somebody would have told me that back when I was in school and I had to take history, I probably would have been interested. Because as it was, just history didn't mean anything to me. It wasn't relevant to me because it was so far away. Didn't really have anything to do with me. I couldn't get a connection. Until I had a teacher who had been at Pearl Harbor, and he made a ping pong table-sized model of Pearl Harbor. And in class, he did Pearl Harbor with all the model boats and which ones blew up at what time. You know, Pearl Harbor came home that day. History came home that day. So having Lori bring our history today of where we live and where we've come from and how it started, I know that's just a piece, but my eyes are way more open now than they were before, and I thank her so much. So on with announcements. I am disappointed to see that the membership class that we were going to have starting on Wednesday has been postponed, and we'll be having it after the holidays are over, and updates will be coming on that. I'm sure there's some good reason, I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we have so much happening. Mark your calendars for next Sunday, September 10th. That's when we're having the Unity annual picnic. It is a potluck. So Unity of Tacoma will be supplying, it's usually chicken or something like that as a main thing. And then everybody bring what you can to add to the feast. And we are fortunate next week to have Stephen Plummer here with us as our guest speaker that day. And the Katie Jane Band is going to be here to play. And I haven't heard that they have agreed, but I'm hoping they'll come to the picnic. And so right after the service, we'll head over to South Park, which is down the road, South Tacoma Way. And there's a splash park there. All are invited. Bring your families, bring your friends. There's a splash park, and I'm wearing clothes so that I can get wet. I'm going to let my child out a little bit. And hopefully we won't go there. On September 16th, this is just so exciting. On September 16th, this says at 1 o'clock, but you meant 11, right?
Sorry.
Okay, at 11 o'clock on the 16th, here at Surge, we're having another watercolor painting class. And Denise is going to be teaching us again. She did her first one a while back, and it was so fun. It was so fun. So now she's gotten even better. So here we go. We're going to be doing all about fall with learning how to watercolor paint fall leaves and pumpkin. And the suggested love offering for the supplies is $10 a person. Pay what you can. More is fine, as with anything. And that's all they have on my list, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? I don't know. I can't hear myself anymore. That is either good or bad. No, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful service. I appreciate you listening to me ramble about the history of Tacoma and the history of Unity of Tacoma. And I think it's really important for us to see where we came from so we can move forward. And we can either learn from our mistakes, which we always do, and we can move forward and do what we need to do in the best capacity that we can. So Unity of Tacoma has always been a beacon of light, and I would like it to continue to do so. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And I guess we're going to be singing our song. So if you could all stand, please, if you can. If you can't, that's fine, too. You can see that I'm on camera, so I'll be sitting. And then we're going to sing our peace song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God our Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there with me.